What is happening? Welcome to the Plus Pitch Podcast, more pitching podcast from pitcherlist.com. My name is Nick Pollack. Today is September 9th, and yes, we are going to talk about baseball. Let's talk about the 5 guys from last night who you might be considering starting or removing from your rosters moving forward. Now, Bryce Elder had a great game against the Cubs. 6.1 innings of 1 earned run, 5 hits, 1 walk, and 6 Ks, 15 whiffs, 36% CSW. He got the win. That's 4 straight amazing starts from Bryce Elder, 2 against the Cubs. And in fact, he might have gone 7 innings shutout the second time in a row, if not for the 7th inning where he left the game with the first and third, and then one of those runs came in. What is going on with Bryce Elder? I actually spent like a good 15 minutes trying to really dissect how he's having more success lately. And I hate to tell you, it's mostly Koufax. It is some good BABIP involved here. The Cubs were not taking advantage of some of these pitches that they definitely should have. However, I will note there are some interesting four-seamers being thrown. He's mixing them in a little bit differently. Yes, there's an uptick about 1 mile per hour on the sinker, but it's 92, 93 as opposed to like 91, 92. And it's also coming at the cost of less movement, which isn't necessarily a good thing. The slider is getting low again, which is also a good thing. In those bad games we've seen from Elder in the past, they generally do come with that. But this really just feels like a weird Vargas rule. And if you want to go with that against Houston and then at Detroit and then hosting the Pirates, fine. Do you? I am not going to do this. I'm not going to make my fantasy season depend on Bryce Elder coming through. Jacob Latz went for the Rangers and had himself a really good game against the Brewers in Arlington. I will always call it Arlington. He got the win. 5.2 innings, 0 runs, 3 hits, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts in 84 pitches. Thing is, Tyler Mahle might come back next week. We don't know if he does, but it might disrupt Latz getting comfortable starts the rest of the year. And honestly, I really hope that Latz does. I think there is potential in this, and I do see a future for him in the same way that Cole Reagans was a little bit, where, yes, Latz needs to have the same velocity jump that Cole Reagans did. He went from about 92 to 96 in his offseason. Cole Reagans from 22 to 23, and that was a big reason why I got into him in the middle of 23. Jacob Latz has a four-seamer at about 18 inches of vert, maybe sometimes 19, that he does locate upstairs really well, and a really filthy changeup underneath Cole Reagans. And if he does go from 94, 95 all the way to 96 or so, that's very exciting. It did drop to 93 in this one, though. So I am going to be a little tepid here on Jacob Latz if he does start the rest of the way. However, let's say Tyler Mahle does not show up. It would be at the Mets next. We're not doing that for Jacob Latz. Miami would follow, and that's if they're doing a 5-man and sticking with us. And then it would also be at Cleveland, which is also really good for a lefty like Latz. So consider it. Make notes on your notepad or whatever you use. Circle the potential start of Miami for Jacob Latz and the Guardians. You might want those. Nick Lodolo went against the Padres, and he's had such a rough schedule. He came back from the IL, faced the Dodgers. He pitched really well, but it was the Dodgers, so it wasn't the line exactly that you wanted. Now at 79 pitches, he went against the Padres and was 5 innings shutout, 2 hits, 1 walk, but just 2 strikeouts. The next 2 starts are Sacre Verde, and then it's the Cubs. You don't love those matchups. Personally, I am starting Nick Lodolo. Why? Because his command is great. He's throwing four-seamers where he needs to upstairs. The changeup is going down in a way. The curveball is going down in glove side. I really think Nick Lodolo is in a phenomenal place as a pitcher. And I'm going to trust the skills over these opponents for the next 2 starts. And then it eases up a little bit for Lodolo. Luis Morales was a very popular pick entering this week as a 2-step. And it was 41% rostered entering yesterday, which was really surprising to me, honestly. But yes, I was leaning go start Morales. However, it didn't work out. The shag rug arrived as he hosted the Red Sox in the dreaded Sacramento minor league stadium known as Sacre Verde. And it was 4.2 innings of 5 innings, 7 hits, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. Now, he still had 11 whiffs. It was 84 pitches. He is a hold. Why? Because he gets the Reds carpet next. And then he goes into Coors. And yes, he doesn't go into Coors. He hosts Rocky Road, right? This is the ideal two-team matchup. Now, it didn't fully work out for Yu Darvish yesterday. 300 runs and I believe 5.2 innings, and he almost made it to 6, and you were really happy about it, but he just didn't do it for the Reds carpet, and he's going to get Rocky Road next. But I am holding this for Luis Morales. I feel as if his skills are good enough. It wasn't the best command. It's really the issue that I initially had with Luis Morales, and if he's not commanding that four-seamer properly and the breaking stuff isn't doing what it's supposed to do, then yeah, it's not going to work out. But those are easier matchups. You got to hold on to Luis Morales. And Caden Dana, I didn't expect to really be covering him much, but he did go 4.2 innings of 9 strikeouts with 15 whiffs yesterday, and that is going to turn some heads, but the ratios are not. 5 earned runs, 5 hits, and 5 walks. So what's going on here? Well, this four-seamer is not very good, and I don't think Caden Dana loves it himself. He's kind of playing with it a little of not trying to give in, but then it does mean it's a lower strike rate, sets himself up for walks. The slider and the changeup did do well against left-handers. However, I don't really think it was absurdly well commanded, and I think it was just kind of one of those games where he executed these pitches in 2-strike counts more effectively than usual. The high put-away rate is not going to stick around. And you have a start next in Seattle at the T that is a very favorable pitcher's park. However, there is a lot of thump in that lineup. And it's a situation where I do not trust Caden Dana to do what he needs to do to navigate that and avoid a large amount of damage. So it's too risky for me to go after Caden Dana. And also, you might be thinking about Jose Quintana because he just disappointed in Texas. 6.2 innings of 5 earned runs, 4 hits, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. 5 earned runs, oh my gosh, he allowed a grand slam, y'all. Okay? That's not going to happen again. And it is a little bit different of a schedule because the Brewers are starting Chad Patrick today. We'll talk about him after the break, but Quintana would still get the Angels and then at St. Louis and then the Reds carpet. Yes, it's not the Cardinals twice. You get the Angels, but I actually should play into his changeup, which was really good in this one too. It was a sinker that allowed that stupid grand slam. So I'm not worried about this for Jose Quintana. I would still be holding him as well. All right, looking forward to Wednesday and Thursday and Friday for your streams. You're going to have to wait until after this break. So let's take a look at the main ones you might be focusing on for today's starters. First, Emmett Sheehan is an auto start, yet he is rostered in fewer than 20% leagues. It's right around there at this point. The very rare stream pick of the day that is an auto start. It's against Rocky Road. Oh my gosh. Then you move to questionable. You have Zebby Matthews at the Angels. It's a little interesting because the right-handed lineup should work well with Zebby Matthews' arsenal of sliders and cutters and four-seamers, but we just haven't seen a long track record of Zebby able to command inside the zone as he wants to. It was really good in the last time in a repeat matchup against the White Sox. We're happy to see that. I'm not ready to say, yes, he's always going to do that, so there is some risk involved there, but I do like it. Is the best one of my third tier of questionable start. Adrian Hauser is of consideration against the White Sox today if you need a quality start. It is away from Tampa, which is good for Adrian Hauser, but we do call them the Sly Sox for a reason because they are heating up a little bit as an offense, so be careful about that. Joey Cantillo against the Royals is a questionable start, as I really like Cantillo. However, the Royals are actually kind of good offense, and Cantillo hasn't had the track record yet. He hasn't gotten his footing as a member of this rotation, so be careful there just a little bit. You don't have to go after that with Joey Cantillo. You have Michael King returning from the IL, and I would normally say just go for it. It's Reds carpet, but we don't know his pitch count, and that's the only element of haze in this. So if you were debating between King and someone else to get in your lineup today, I would say go for someone that you feel has a long leash to go 6 innings. We don't know if King has that. He's been pitching on the backfields, and he could be stretched out and good. I don't know. I don't think the quality per inning will hurt, though. So if it's about benching or starting, yeah, I'm fine with him in your lineup. And then Chad Patrick is questionable at Texas. It is a spot start for Chad Patrick, as I mentioned, with Jose Quintana. It does make that 6-man for a moment. But Chad Patrick has actually looked good when he's made these spot starts. He goes long enough to be able to go at least 5 frames. And pitching in Arlington right now, yes, Arlington, is really good. It is a very damaged Rangers lineup, and that park is so pitcher-friendly. I also need to mention that Dustin May is on the IL. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Boston fans, for that trade, whatever. And it does mean that Connolly early is making his MLB debut. Is that worth your time? Well, let me tell you about him really quickly. 93 to 94 mile per hour four-seamers at about 7 feet of extension, which is cool. He commands it well upstairs as a southpaw. The movement, not exceptional. This is very just Think of it kind of like a Matthew Boyd of a four-seamer with a little bit extra extension, and it's about a relatively flat attacking, a little bit better than Boyd's, okay? But what are you asking? Of course, does he have a changeup? And he does. It's a kick changeup. It is negative vert, or maybe right around it, which is what you want to see, right? You want him breaking the X plane, essentially, and going into the depths of negative Y, okay? You want it to be going down underneath zero. So that's a great element. He does throw it away to right-handers effectively. It's in the zone, but we have seen in zone down and away changeups can be very effective, especially if you're at 7 feet of extension. I mean, Cantillo does it all the time, but he's at more like 7.3, 7.5 feet of extension at times. But this could be a very good game plan against right-handers just alone. And then there is a curveball that goes 50-50 in the 3 starts that I saw in AAA, where it was either floated up and away to right-handers, where he was essentially flying open too early and not coming down on it. But then when he actually got out and was able to extend it down and near the ankles of right-handers, more movement to it, more two-plane action, and a really good curveball that could get whiffs. To lefties, you do see a sinker show up. It is to jam inside to lefties. It stays on the inner third, but it's over the plate. It's not off the plate, but I think that's something that can develop over time, and he does have 17 to 18 inches of run on that, which is very good as well. The sweeper, hit or miss when it comes to locating that one to lefties, and that's pretty much the game plan there. You do have a lot of more four-seamers than sinkers to left-handers, so I do wonder if that might change a little bit over time. And the changeup, sometimes it shows up, but it's really a pitch for right-handers. Overall, this is a good package that I do think can play in the majors. Thing is, I have my rules. Do you start guys in MLB debuts? Generally, no, you don't. You get all this extra adrenaline there. It's all chaos, and you don't really know what's going to happen. And you throw in the fact that it's in Sacramento. It just makes it a do not start for me. However, in an AL-only league, this is a decent dire stream situation. I get that. It's just not really a thing that I want to chase. Tomorrow, we have Tyler Wells versus Pittsburgh. That is a probable start for Wednesday. And I think that you guys should be really focused on this one. It's against Pittsburgh. He tossed over 80 pitches. I believe it was 87, but don't quote me on that. It might be 84. Doesn't matter. It's a long enough leash right now for Tyler Wells, and he was executing excellently. Like it was like he never left. So Tyler Wells, yeah, you are in consideration for Wednesday's streams. You are my stream pick of the day. Eduardo Rodriguez against the Giants is the start of the questionable tier for Wednesday. And I don't really love it. I think the Giants are heating up a little bit. He's a Toby. He can work well with that changeup. He can locate that cutter inside to right-handers. It's a coin flip there. Peyton Tolley was initially in the second tier and probable start against the Athletics in Sacramento, but it came out that he is going to not start that game, and he's in consideration to appear during the game, which might mean that he's just a bulk starter. It could mean that he's not even going. It essentially says, look, if you're looking for a quality start, you won't get one, obviously, but you might not get even 5 innings out of this. I think that Peyton Tolley is a legit talent. His four-seamer is phenomenal, and I think that's just such a good foundation. Those secondaries will come in over time, but you probably want to sit this one out. And there's also Michael McGreevy in consideration at Seattle. It's a good situation in the home park, but that lineup does scare me. That said, Michael McGreevy is more of a ground ball pitcher, and he's not really a strikeout guy. He's trying to get 6 innings, and this might play into his hand of getting those quick outs with his sinker, with all of his wide arsenal, and that great defense behind him. So that is of consideration. And then for Friday, a sneak peek at that, there are 2 guys that I would consider as probable starts, and that would be Cade Povich against the Pirates, and then Ian Seymour at the Chicago White Sox. I prefer Cade Povich. I just think it's a little bit safer with the White Sox looking as good as they are. All right, that is it for today. Thank you all so much for the support, and thank you for leaving reviews on iTunes and Spotify for this podcast and on the main Pitcher List fantasy baseball feed. Both of those feeds, the Plus Pitch podcast feed and the fantasy baseball feed, it goes so far for us just leaving that rating or review. So please consider doing that if you haven't already. But that is it. So my name is Nick Pollack, and may your BABIPs be low and your strikeouts high.